their comments, and they may make further comments as we go along. Now we come to logistically the difficult part of this, is I'm going to call on you, but a couple things we need to keep in mind. One is, be respectful of each other. You may not agree with somebody or whatever, you will get your turn to state that, but don't try to holler them down or whatever it may be. Let people state their case. Secondly, I don't think there are microphones out there. Oh, there are. So as you raise your hand, I call on you, they'll get you a microphone, and you'll be able to speak. As I said, we're trying to limit it. If you want to say something about something else, say it. Make your point about health care, and we'll try to get responses up here, or maybe it won't need a response, and we'll go from there. But don't go on indefinitely. The other thing we'd like people to do, if they could, is to sign up at that rear table so that we can stay in touch with you about all this when it's all said and done. And from time to time, I'll try to keep things under control here as we go along. But it's an open meeting, so feel free to do as you please. The only way I can do this is to call on you as you raise your hand. Somebody in the middle here just had their hand up. I think that gentleman in the white shirt right there.
What criteria?
Can you state your name and then?
Richard McKay, Milton, Delaware.
Go ahead, Richard.
Richard McKay, Milton, Delaware. What criteria do you use before deciding on whether to vote for or against the bill?
What I do is study the bill. I
couldn't have studied it. It was presented to the Congress late Thursday night or early Friday morning, and you voted in affirmative for it.
No, let's wait a minute.
Well, maybe the news is all wrong then.
No, you're not necessarily wrong. He's talking about something other than health care. But basically you're talking about the cap and trade bill, which I happen to have read, and I read the amendment, by the way, which is about 300 pages. And the problem with reading these things is, can you absorb something like that in a short time? I don't think you can. My staff also reads that, and we also get staff advisories from the various committee staffs in terms of that. We listen to input from citizens, and we read literature about it. That particular piece of legislation was extremely complicated. As I've indicated, where Stephanie's back here, we have a couple pages of writing if you want to read about some of my reasoning that went into that. You're happy to do so. You're happy, welcome to disagree with me. I understand that. But we did study that particular concept very hard.
Why did you vote for it? Why did you vote for it? Why? Why did you vote for it?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Joanne Cabry. I'm from Rehoboth, and 3 years ago today, I finished treatment for breast cancer.
There's no way that when a bill is dropped on your desk at 3:09 a.m. that's over 300 pages long in legalese, anyone can read it. Will you actually read this bill before you vote yes on it?
Let me try to respond quickly to that. First, just to put you at ease, I read all legislation. That is the way I have to operate. One, and two, I read a lot of summaries and background. That's just a fact, folks. Secondly,
I beg and beg you to vote against cap and trade. It was initially Bill 2454, I believe. And then the day of the vote, I read an article early that morning that the bill number was changed to HR 2998, and it had been expanded to 1,201 pages. And I called and spoke with your secretary and told her once again, please get in a message, you must vote no, vote against this bill. Never heard from you, and I'm just so disappointed. I'm actually hopeful that this vote that you made was a vote to put you out of office. And now about healthcare. You know, on this energy thing, I had in my email to you numerous times how there are petitions signed by 31,000 scientists that know and have facts that CO2 emissions have nothing to do, and the greenhouse effect has nothing to do with global warming. It's all a hoax. So, first of all, I cannot for the life of me understand how you could have been one of the 8 Republican traitors. fix the broken pieces of our healthcare system. But I know darn well that if we let the government bring in socialized medicine, it will destroy this thing faster than the Twin Towers come down. Just like every piece of our society, when the government steps in and takes free enterprise and capitalism out, I don't care whether it's the auto industry or whatever. It's just like this cap and trade bill. If God help us if the Senate doesn't stop it, but just think of all the thousands and thousands of jobs of folks that have been in the coal industry. I mean, it's just incredible. I can't believe it. But at any rate, please vote against this new health proposal from the office of the president and the president.
First of all, thank you for your comments and thank you for being here. Secondly, with respect to the healthcare portion of your question, there is no proposal at this point. It's all principles, basically. So we need to wait and see what's in it. And I agree with you. I agree with you entirely. I don't think that the federal government should take this over or do whatever. But you mentioned something else in there, fixing the pieces. Maybe there's some things that should be done. We've heard some of those here today, and that's something that we need to look at. So we need to pay attention to that. I know this is a healthcare town hall meeting, but with respect to the cap and trade proposal and responses or whatever, obviously we had responses comments from Delawareans and all over the country, and I care about the Delawareans on both sides of that particular issue. My staff spoke to people as they could, and they still do. All emails, whatever, are summarized and given to me as a grouping. We look at all that, and that's part of the consideration in terms of, particularly what's stated in those emails, in terms of how we make decisions. So one way or another, we're going to disagree, and I'm going to disagree with you actually on CO2 and a few other things that you stated, but I understand disagree, I guess, with a few other people here too, with respect to the issue. But I appreciate your comments. I think they're well earned. Let me go.
You don't even say why you voted for it.
Why did you vote for it?
Look, wait a minute. Hold everything. I want to make sure that people make their comments about health care. Secondly, I've already told you that Stephanie has a handout here. It's 2 pages. You can read it. You asked if I read it. You can take 5 minutes to read our reasons for it. And I can long term it was the proper direction to go.
My name is Sylvia Neeser. I'm a smart.
I don't have that in front of me, but I will tell you that there were more calls and emails in opposition to it than in favor of it. Probably by a ratio, I don't have the numbers here right now, its calls are still going on, but probably in the ratio of about 3 to 2 or something of that nature. Let me just say, I don't make my decisions based solely on that. That's a factor that enters into it. I've got to look at, we have calls on virtually every piece of legislation that comes up. This was more than usual, but we have calls on everything, and we look at that, we specifically look at what people say, and then I make my decisions based on input from my staff, my own analysis of what we have and what the legislation does, and then make decisions to vote one way or another. But to answer your question broadly, there were more calls in opposition to it than in favor of it, yes. Yes, ma'am.